Hello and welcome to our listeners. I am Isabella Samara Rose, and this is AEVA, a new media channel dedicated to and in service of life. Today's session is part of our Conversations with Inspiring Women series, and I'm thrilled to have Lena Pu with us here today to share her phenomenal work. Welcome, Lena.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabella. It's a pleasure and honor to be part of your debut for AEVA. And what timing. It couldn't be more perfect than now.
No, this is
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, this is the moment. So, yeah. Before I introduce Lena more fully, and we get to hear from you, Lena, I would like to begin by speaking the prayer and intention that is behind all that we do here at AEVA. If our listeners are moved to close your eyes, you can do. If not, no worries. And just you might want to affirm what is true for you and leave what is not true for you at this time. Mother, Father, God, original source, please be with us now as we hold this space sacred. Please guide us with your steady presence and gentle breath, and protect us from all ill intentions, corruption, dis-ease, and malice. Everything that is shared here is offered in the spirit of a generous heart and in service of life, for life, individual sovereignty, freedom, health, and justice for all. At this pivotal moment in time, where so much hangs in the balance, we invite our listeners to dream big with us in the creation of a profound and radical new world that so many of us know is possible and have come here to serve and co-create in this time. Let's dream large enough to welcome all the fallen energies within and without that are now ready to surrender, to be held fully accountable, and to welcome the deep and profound healing that is now both possible and necessary. Welcoming all beings that are in alignment with the one true source that can and do assist us in these times. In great gratitude, in service of the one true source, Mother, Father, God, so be it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we have Lena. Lena is an environmental researcher and designer. Her past work involved restoring sensitive wetland habitats for the US Army Corps of Engineers. She later worked as a freelance designer for architecture, landscape architecture, office layout design. She shifted gears after becoming electrosensitive almost 10 years ago now, and started to do deep research on the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the human body. She performed her own primary science study on a school teacher back in 2016, which showed blood effects with before and after exposures to classroom Wi-Fi. And back in 2017, she made the discovery of human effects by exposures to the 60 gigahertz frequency. Upon discovering the results of her scientific research of effects by wireless exposures, she felt compelled to find a solution to stopping the horrific rollout of more radiation throughout the planned deployment of 5G and 6G, fifth and sixth generation wireless technology. This is when she got involved in writing what she calls a Notice of Liability for Non-Consent and Injury. It is a document that brings forth to light ugly truths that have been deliberately obfuscated and veiled with disinformation of every kind. Equally important, this document is designed to empower the individual. So this is why I'm incredibly excited and honoured and thrilled to have you with us here today, Lena.
Thank you.
To hear about your Notice of Liability.
So this is an old new method. It's old in that it used to be the way things were done contractually between two commercial entities, and there was never legal lawyers, courtroom involved, and people just did business this way. It took me a long time to be able to strategize something that can go across international borders, that incorporate any wireless gadget of any kind, from something at a nanotech, nano size, to something as big as a satellite in space,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in between.
Wow.
You think, yeah, and that's how I made it work, because I
And
call it all as
so
part of it.
pleased to hear this.
Yes, yes.
With the vaccinations in there as well, and the geoengineering.
And I was able to do that by changing the title from wireless radiation to electronic enslavement, that includes wireless radiation and anything that promotes the facilitating of wireless radiation, which is the geoengineering and the vaccinations.
Yeah.
So just by elevating the problem to a higher level, I was able to incorporate those two other items, which I'm very, very pleased, because ultimately they are all linked together. They are all part of the same agenda. So again, Agenda 2030 is a UN document published by them, written by them. It is an actual document. We're not making this up. So if you want to go look at it, it basically tells you their whole master game plan. It's right out in the open. It's so important to know that's their that's their playbook. Once you've read their playbook and you understand it, everything else falls in place. You understand why the education system is hijacked, why the medical field is hijacked, why our money system is hijacked, financial system, how we do business, how we do law, how the legal system runs, how the government runs, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Falls into place. Everything just falls magically into place. The higher you go in understanding the infrastructure, the structure, where it's coming from, you really have to connect your dots to who are the people, who are the faces, the names behind certain things. And you'll find, oh, this person's also involved with this. Oh, this person's also involved with that. And that person's connected to this person and owns this organization that also owns, so it's like the whole matrix starts to come together and the picture gets brighter and fuller and more detailed.
Yeah.
It's actually incredible. It's really a miracle to be able to really understand and put all this together. But once you do, you just feel like, it's like, aha, you just get this really deep aha moment, like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I know now.
Yeah. I'm so glad I know now. It's tricky relating with people that don't understand, and my work is very much about endeavoring to build a bridge. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling that really keenly at the moment. I mean, I won't take us off track, but with the whole COVID-19, but what I find is speaking to people like yourself who've connected the dots, it doesn't, once you've connected, I mean, it's incredibly overwhelming, all of it. But when you've connected the dots, and can just work, because we have so much power to counter this, and when we can see it, to say no to it, and to say, actually, we want to create something else. And this is, really exciting. And I'd love to hear more about how the Notice of Liability, how it works, how can we engage in it, and how do we use that tool?
So the Notice of Liability, I said, is goes across international borders. You can serve anyone. You can serve your school board trustees. You can serve the city council members that want to deploy 5G. People have said that, they want to serve the industry. You could, but they're like weeds. you know, you bring one down, another one pops up. What you kind of want to do is stop the source, where the fountain, you know, where the flow is happening, and that really is your city leaders, and that's your school board trustees. And you know, the higher you go, the harder it is for them to make that change. And I would try to concentrate on serving the people who are as close to you as possible, because there's that physical connection. You can actually see this person can see you.
Mm-hmm.
There's some level of accountability, and the higher you go, you lose that. Now, with that said, I will also say, if you're going to serve someone higher up, go as high as you can. Go to the people who are actually making the laws, the regulations, who are serving as your regulatory agency. I wouldn't bother with the senators so much. They're just politicians, and they're kind of the middlemen, and they don't know enough to make a decision. Whereas there are direct impacts that your school board trustees will be having if they choose to deploy anything in schools. They are directly responsible. Same thing with the city council members. They have ways to stop the 5G deployment. There's so many ways. Don't let them lie to you and say, our hands are tied, we're just following orders from up above. That is such a bogus lie. There are so many ways they can stop this and do it legally. They can do it lawfully, they can do it legally. They're just choosing not to. So they are the people that you need to change their minds with. And if they don't, then use the notice of liability on them. Again, if you want to attack the industry, there's so many of them. If you have the time, sure. I think maybe have a group of people file, you know, just focus on industry. Have different groups of people focus on different things. And one other thing is, I absolutely think we need to start a movement and file Elon Musk and all those who are deploying the satellites. That actually is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to push my website up and running as soon as I could, was because of the satellites. There is a deadline. He has been deploying, Elon Musk has been deploying, I believe, 60 satellites every month or every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
He's deployed about every 2 weeks. So he's deployed about 360 to 400 something satellites to date. He wants to deploy in the at least 1,500 to 10,000, and ultimately 40, 50,000 in a 10 years time. But we need to stop it right now, because what is being planned is that none of these have been turned on. They will be turned on as soon as he has all the satellites in place.
I heard that, I can't remember which company it was, whether it was SpaceX, and I don't know if that's his company.
That's his company.
I heard that they were sending up 60 every week or two, but once they got to 480 or something, they were going to switch them on.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember why I heard that, but I think it's worth us looking into, because that's pretty imminent, really.
Yes. Well, it's I heard the timeline for them switching it on is in June. So that's why I had to get my website up at least 2 months before, which is up now. My website is up. So people can start filing the notice of liability on these entities, because it takes 3 weeks for them to respond with a rebuttal, and then another, you know, a couple weeks to do certain things. And so it's a process. That notice of liability is a process, and because you're not the court system anymore, you have to make sure that you're following the steps appropriately and correctly in terms of the timeline. You don't want to miss a day. You know, you don't want to miss your window of opportunity. If you were supposed to submit a, you know, a notice of default or notice of dishonor, you need to do that within a certain time frame. But filing the notice of liability, definitely your local entities, school board trustees, city council members, if you have the time, or if you want to find a group of people to focus on any industry like Verizon, T-Mobile, you know, the AT&T, whatever, the main ones. And definitely there are two other entities I absolutely would serve it to, is the United States FCC, regulatory agency. And I'll explain why that in a second. And the second is Elon Musk's SpaceX program and the other satellite programs. But Elon Musk has the biggest one. He's got the most extensive program going. And I know Telesat is one. OneWeb, I think they're going bankrupt, but it doesn't hurt to serve them. If you're going to serve the entities that are deploying satellites in space, I would say serve Elon Musk and definitely, and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
And why the FCC is because every country are under the, well, people are under the assumption that we're all separated. Like, you have your regulatory agency, I have mine. Every country has their own regulatory agency and they follow a different order or something. That's not true. Actually, all antennas, all two-way transmitting antennas are commissioned by the FCC to oversee all antenna certification.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key. So that's why I made this notice of liability so heavily concentrated on dismantling the authority of the FCC. And it makes sense because Herman Pichuan was smuggled to the US. He set the guideline. It was a treasonous act on our part to do what we did. And the FCC fails to recognize that. So they are incomplicit with historical precedents by accepting and continuing to accept the guideline that was set by this German Nazi supporting scientist.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all in the notice of liability. And that is the secret sauce. You know, that's one part of the secret sauce. And it's all tied in with the Nuremberg Code and violation of that and a bunch of other codes, and how I was able to link all the codes and the violations together is very extensive. And it's all tied. I mean, I have this whole chart, how it's all linked together. So that's why focusing on filing the FCC would be so important, because they are actually not a national agency here in the United States. They're actually an international agency, as well as the ANSI, which is the American National Standards Institute, which is a bunch of engineers that also support the guideline. They are an international agency, and they admit it in their website. They say we are internationally, we are an international organization, even though it's called American National Standards Institute. So ANSI, but it's an electronics and electrical agency, organization, and it's by membership. It's really a club. It's not even a real government agency, but they treat it like it is. Same thing with ANSI, ANSI, IEEE, ANSI, IEEE. Both of them are organizations filled with industry, electronics industry people, and electrical engineers, electronics developers, you know, people with, you know, that background are members of these two organizations, and they're the ones who are, quote unquote, the advisories to the FCC, amongst a few other agencies. But those three are pretty much tied together. ICNIRP is too. ICNIRP is tied together, and that's an international Council for Radiation Protection agency. And then you have an American US version of it, is NCRP, National Council for Radiation Protection. And sorry, the international one is International Commission for Radiation Protection. So a lot of these agencies are, I mean, they're all linked, they're all tied together. intricately, but the FCC is the one that gives certification to all antennas internationally. So that is the other secret sauce that I put into the NOL that makes it work. So that way, this is how I made it work internationally. It's like, it doesn't matter which country you're in, you can still file it to the FCC, or you attack the FCC. You give it to your regulatory agency with the focus on the FCC because they are intricately tied to the FCC. So the notice of liability basically says, as above, so below. You know, if you're filing to the principal, the underlings are also notified. And if you notify to the underlings and the principal is notified, meaning that you may file it down here, but it's also going to impact what's happening up here. If you file it up there, it's going to impact what's happening down here. So this whole triangular power structure, it touches all of it. So your regulatory agency may be down here, but who's really guiding them is the FCC. It all goes back to the FCC, ultimately. That's how I got it to work internationally. People don't know this. People have no clue.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's just like constant researching of so many different avenues, so many different aspects. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The historical connections, you know, the technology, the electromagnetic frequencies, you know, they're all different kinds and they all do different things, you know, and then the technology devices themselves are like, you know, and then when are they deploying? What rules and regulations are there for each of them? You know, certain ones have certain restrictions on this and that. And I mean, you know, it's just, it seems endless, but I think I pulled together something that's very tight. I you know.
Right.
I'm actually proud, very, very, very pleased with the results.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So your website is up and running?
Yes, there's a glitch. The toolbar is not working that great. It's not working the way it should. So we're getting that fixed, but it's up.
So people can join. How is it working? How can people get involved?
Okay, so I only request serious filers because it's a process. And it's not a document you just sign and you just hand it off to people. It doesn't work that way. There are steps that you need to follow, and even the way you serve your respondent needs to be done properly. And for every state I know in the United States, it's different. So, you know, you may file it thinking you're doing it right, but if you don't do it right, it doesn't, you know, you essentially just didn't do anything.
Okay.
And you don't want that to happen, because what happens then is that you've actually dismissed this wonderful piece of document with amazing information, and you just flush it down the toilet. So when people go to my website, there's a Patreon that they can sign up, and it's $10 a month, US dollars, and you will have access to the document through the Patreon account. This does several things. It prevents me from getting censored because there's words like vaccines in it. There's geoengineering components in there. There's certain terms in there that would get this document censored if I were to leave it free and hanging on a website. My website, you know, could most likely possibly be taken down or attacked or whatever. I mean, it still can, but by hiding it, or not hiding it, by putting it behind a paywall, gives it that level of protection. So this is for the secret file. I mean, the serious filers, people who are serious about serving, so that they also know that they are also being protected, that this is a private community of people who are on the same wavelength with the same intentions. I want to build a community of people who have this desire. I don't want people who are just there out of curiosity and reading this important document and just willy-nilly thinking, oh yeah, I'll just do it my way. So this membership, subscription monthly membership, is also to help guide people through the process. Once they file, sort of remind them, okay, well, you need to follow up with the second filing 3 weeks down the road. Once they don't respond to that, then you need to do another filing. So there's several steps. It's not just the notice of liabilities. That actually is just the beginning.
So will you be, I'm just thinking about here, you say in America, you have to file it differently in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Here in England, do you have any idea about how it functions here?
See, that's something I would have to research and connect with folks. So whatever problems they come up with, they will have to do some of the research themselves.
Yeah.
And be in communication with me, so that we can figure out how to best approach this, because sometimes you actually might have to hire a paralegal assistant to help you do this legally. You're not hiring a lawyer per se, you're just hiring legal advice.
Yeah.
So it's I want to keep the line of communication open. Have a continuous resource available for these people who want to file. That's basically mainly my purpose, because this is all new. I mean, this is new for me. Nobody's really done this before.
Yeah.
No one. So to be honest with you, could I give you any hard answers on any details? Not at this point. This is a learning curve for all of us. And it is even for the Empower Movement people, because look at them, they haven't even released any of their notice of liabilities, even though they've been around for 3 years.
Yeah, we've been waiting for a very long time. Well, we gave up waiting, but
yeah, there's no reason you should even be announcing you're an entity if you're not going to produce.
No, well, saying that you've got something ready to go and is very strange.
No, that's not how an organization should function.
No.
To me, that organization doesn't exist. If it's not producing what it says it should be producing, then to me it's not functioning.
No.
So there are lots of, this is an adventure. Yeah, just this is an adventure I'm willing to go along with you and others who are very intent on regaining some personal sovereignty, some personal freedom of right and choice, and exercising it through this notice of liability. This notice of liability, if anything, number one, is your personal declaration. Beyond anything, it is a physical declaration of your free will.
Yeah.
That's really the spirit behind this process. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Ah, thank you so much, Lena.
Oh, this is such a weird and strange world and road, but I'm just so thankful for you too, Isabella, because you understand it in such a deep and heartfelt, spiritual, soulful, intellectual way that I connect with, and you are a breath of fresh air for me. So it's been such a wonderful union that you've reached out to me. So I thank you. I thank you for your friendship and your partnership.
Yeah. yeah, the feeling is absolutely mutual. And I'm so excited that the website is live. I'm going to
Yeah.
go. I'm going to go and sign up tonight.
I'll give you the documents. You don't need to you don't need to pay for anything.
Well, I want to support you in what you're doing. It's so much work. It's
Oh,
incredible. And I know that the density of this type of research, it's not like what you want to do. It's like, you know,
yeah,
what you want to do because you want to protect life, but it's not like pleasurable to
absolutely. You
gruel,
nailed
gruel through all this. And I just thank you for your commitment and your willingness to do that research and to draw it all together so that there is this document that we can engage with and we can serve to the people that need to receive it. As a mother, particularly, I'm really relieved to have a document that I can serve to the school boards and figure out who needs to receive that there to
it.
stop this, because there's so many people who are just ignorant. They don't understand what's going on. Everyone's got it in their house, the Wi-Fi. It's just normal. And they don't. If you don't
Yeah.
understand the effects it has, if you've not looked at the research, and you don't feel it, and everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Right. Right.
But there is a problem, and there is no problem with learning without it or living without this stuff. We can all live without it.
We don't like where it's heading. It's because the forces that are pushing humanity is pushing it in a very destructive direction.
Mm-hmm.
And as women and as mothers, I kind of extend that, mother bear mentality to our planet. I mean, I can't help it. I just see if our planet is being threatened, I'm going to do everything in my powers to do anything I can to help save it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the people that are living on it are beautiful. All of nature that's living on it, all life, all flora and fauna is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I respect what has been created on this planet. I respect it so deeply that I cannot see anything threaten it. And it pisses me off when it's threatened. I will, I will do everything in my powers to preserve it.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
yeah, so that's why yeah, again, the notice of liability, that's my tool, my gift. That is my gift for humanity and for our planet.
Well, it's such a gift. It's such a huge gift. It's thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. I hope it works. I just hope it does something. I really do. I hope it does something for the individual. I hope it opens the individual's mind and heart and spirit and abilities and their sovereign powers.
Yeah.
I hope it opens their power, their power source. I hope it enables them to tap into it. That's really my intention
Mm.
behind this NOL, this notice of liability, is to give this to someone, and just by holding it, they'll feel empowered by it, just because it's the intention behind it is being transferred to them, and gives them that power that they've been looking for, that they've been seeking, and that power has always been within them.
Yeah.
It's like giving voice. It's like giving a voice to every individual that's looking to be empowered, for self-empowerment. So it's a very metaphysical approach to writing a document, and I prayed over it. like you wouldn't believe. You know, I prayed for inspiration. I prayed for the right words, the right stringing of the ideas so that they flow, they make sense, and they strike true and narrow into the heart of the matter. All those things, you know, I prayed for all those things, and I and it's done, it's complete, and it's
Incredible.
people to use. It's for people to use
Yeah.
and use it powerfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so thank you, Lena, for your incredible work. I'm deeply grateful, and I know that I can thank you for so many other individuals out there who've been holding this thread for however long they've been holding it. There's so many people, amazing people out there who are raising awareness and doing their own research and talking to their local counsellors and schools, and but it you know, it's a really tricky one, this, and so a huge gratitude, and from the bees and the plants, the trees, you know, there's just so much gratitude for the work that you've done and what it means
Thank you. Thank you so much.
for us all.
Oh, much gratitude to you
Mm.
for for your lovely words.
And I just want to say to our listeners as well, you know, thank you to all of you for the work that you do in protection of life, and for, I'm sure that those who have been holding this thread will just be absolutely keen, as I am, to engage with Lena's Notice of Liability. And for those of you that this information is new to, and if you've managed to get this far, congratulations. And Lena's website is now going to be live, and I'm sure there's lots of links to relevant research there, and there's so much research available that's really phenomenal. So many committed expert scientists in their fields working to prevent this madness. So yeah, I would encourage people to do their research if they feel inclined to, and to get involved, and to really I just hope that we can, you know, come together now, send these notice of liabilities together. We can turn the tide on this and put an end, put a stop, shine a light to what's been very cleverly hidden in the shadows. And yeah, for anybody who does shadow work or the deep inner work, when we shine a light on something that's been in the shadows and been destructive, that energy can be freed and become, like, you know, a strong ally. So I feel like together we can shine a light on this energy that's been in the shadows and just bring it forward. And who knows what's possible and what future we can create for ourselves and for all life, sentient beings. Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm.
That was beautiful.
Mm. Oh, and just a final note, just to say, at AEVA, if you like what we're doing and want to support the work, we have created our membership also at Patreon, and there's various tiers, but the basic tier is just £1.50 a month. So we want to make it really, really accessible, so that anybody who wants to can support the work that we're doing and receive a digital download of AEVA magazine each time it comes out, which is about quarterly, and hopefully we'll have an edition by late May. And there's other tiers which will give you access to extra footage. We're going to do a more personal interview, me and Lena, in a little while, and lots of other women that I'll be speaking to, really inspiring women. And then other tiers where we are offering more meditations and embodied practices to support sacred activism in this time, to support women to resource themselves. So yeah, it's all very affordable and will be full with rich conversations with women like yourself, Lena. And the last thing I want to mention is we're also running an online course for women, which Lena is going to be a part of, and it's called Red Pill, Red Tent, a resource for embodied sacred activism for women. And that will be running from late May as well. So that if you're interested in that as a woman, you can go to our website, www.aevamagazine.co.uk, and AEVA is AEVA. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
So we'll put links down to Lena. Your website will be just below, and yeah, we'll stay in touch and let's all see what's possible.
Oh, very exciting.
Coming
Very exciting.
months. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.